Chapter 5, Serafina is currently studying at the Beijing Academy of Fine Arts, which has a history of over 100 years. The Golden Pavilion Theatre next to the school is also the oldest theatre in the city. Many large parties, performances, and galas are held here. She attended this party. The reason is very simple: the old man of the Lancaster family will be present. Which family the Lancaster Transportation Max Power project falls into depends on the Lancaster family's mood. Max Power is the Lancaster Transportation's large-scale transport ship equipment project, combined with green energy technology, is the pilot phase of green transport. Now the domestic and foreign markets are also starting to develop this technology. The potential is very large. Actually, this was originally Smith's strength, but because Smith had not managed well during this period, and had lost many scientific research talents, the Kensington family had taken advantage of the opportunity. If they could take over this project, Smith would have a great leap forward, and the scene of decline like in the previous life would probably not happen. The theme of the gala was to raise funds to protect the marine environment that was being polluted by crude oil exploitation. She entered the hall, and glanced around the magnificently decorated Golden Pavilion. She was a bit late, but the famous figures in the business, political, literary, and artistic circles had long gathered, laughing and talking happily, and eating and drinking heartily. It was only natural that there would be so many people. Those who wanted to cling to the Lancaster family would all come. She lowered her head to look at the wooden box in her hand, the 10.3-carat blue diamond. The actual value was around 30 million, but since it was the famous Princess Tears, the market value was probably around 50 million. Among the donations today, at most it could only be considered a middle ground. Here there would definitely be a donation worth 1,000 times more. But she smiled, writing a few elegant words on the donation card: Princess Tears Blue Diamond, 250 million, Serafina Beaumont. When the staff in charge of registration and preservation of donations received her card, she was stunned and stammered, "Senior, did you write it wrong?" The banquet staff were students from the Beijing Academy of Fine Arts. To participate in this charity banquet, they needed an invitation letter. If the Academy students wanted to visit high society and meet the young masters of some famous family, being a waiter was the best way. She also discovered that the students serving this time were all very beautiful. Each of them was like a flower in the middle of a blue stream, wearing a white dress that was both pure and sexy. She let out a sigh of relief. Tonight she didn't know how many people would increase Durex's sales. She glanced at the donation card, pretending not to know. Written wrong? Why do you say that? One of the waiters was her classmate, Helen Merlin. She saw Serafina dressed like a star today. Her heart was also not very good. In her eyes, Serafina was clearly the poor Lily before. Unexpectedly a piece of cake fell from the sky. In just one night she turned into a rich young lady. It was really no different from the real-life version of Cinderella turning into a princess. Helen pretended to be kind, but in fact she wanted to make her upset and remind her, "Didn't you read the invitation? After gathering everything today, the Lancaster family will put it up for auction. The amount of money the donor writes down will be the amount of cash they will have to pay. If the amount is low, the amount donated to their ocean charity fund after the auction will be more, but if the amount is high, they will have to cover the difference between the actual value and the overstated amount." How much money do you want they to lose by writing these words? That's right, this is the interesting part of today's charity dinner. The Lancaster family's old man is donating to the Marine Environmental Protection Fund on one hand, and to his family's Ocean Charity Fund on the other. So the item that the businessman right in front of Serafina donated was clearly worth 10 million, but it was only written as 5 million. That is to say, the other 5 million is for the Lancaster family's Ocean Charity Fund. Everyone did the same, deliberately lowering the price. They had to donate it anyway, so they would give a portion to the Ocean Charity Fund, which would be considered as flattery to the Lancaster family. The most important scene tonight was that Mr. Lancaster would choose an item he liked from all the donated items, not auction it off but buy it at the price the donor listed on the card, keep it for himself, and the cash would be sent to the Marine Environmental Protection Fund. Because of all these reasons, everyone did not dare to write a high price. In case Mr. Lancaster chose the item they donated and had to buy it at a high price, then it would be considered as them asking for trouble with the Lancaster family. Only Serafina not only did not lower the price, but on the contrary, raised the price by 200 million. That means to trap him for 200 million, no negotiation. Serafina looked at Helen, very cold. No, this is correct. Didn't the Lancaster family say that they will compensate for the price difference? For charity, they will also volunteer to contribute. After speaking, she turned around and left. After walking a few steps, she turned back to look at Helen, her tone cold. Haven't you received any service training? Just now, you were talking so insolently, explaining to the guests for what reason? You know the content of the invitation letter so well. Are you invited? Helen blushed, but couldn't refute. The surrounding students gasped in fear and looked at each other. Serafina's sudden change was so terrifying. Her eyes were cold and bored as she glanced at the girls and then left. In her previous life, when she was 20, she had no friends, was anxious and restless, and always had a timid demeanor, which made the girls in her class even more jealous and bullied her. If they weren't friends, then just let the girls be afraid. It was both comfortable and debt-free. Inside, the staff was displaying the donated items on the exhibition stand: jewels, real estate documents, all kinds of expensive and precious items. By chance, while looking around, Serafina saw Vivian and Lily's donation. A model of an ancient Chinese house in Qingda. On the tag was written, "Ancient Chinese House, 24 million, Vivian Ashford." She squinted her eyes slightly. The price of this house was around 36 million. It was one of the dowry when her aunt married into the Ashford family, which was also the ancestral house of the Beaumont family. Her aunt had become a vegetable, so the Ashford family took her dowry and gave it to someone else. Ah. Beside it was a model of a yacht, green tea double-hull yacht, 12 million, Lily Harper. Lily was now considered half a daughter of the Ashford family. It was estimated that this yacht worth more than 20 million was bought by Winston Ashford for Lily to save face. Her purpose of coming here today was Mr. Lancaster, other matters, and other people. There was no need to think about it yet. She picked up the cocktail from the waiter's tray, left the crowded lobby, and went out to the balcony to get some fresh air. She had just walked to the row of potted plants when she heard people gossiping about her. First was Helen. Who does she think she is? A sparrow transformed into a phoenix and thinks she's a real princess? Even wearing Valentino can't change her poor temperament. The others immediately chimed in. Vivian and Lily are the real ladies. That Serafina is no different from a beggar who stole the prince's clothes. Poor Lily, falling from heaven to hell, but just now I saw her. She still has a lot of charisma. What else? Serafina, a mouse that fell into a rice jar and became a young lady. If I were her, I would have burned incense and prayed to Buddha to thank him for his kindness, but who is she showing off to? Does she think that by using her power and influence, she will make people submit to her? Ridiculous. She slowly took a sip of her cocktail, not feeling angry at all. She just didn't understand. In the eyes of others, why did what was originally hers turn into a blessing from heaven? Why did Lily's 18 years of good fortune turn into bad luck that made people feel pity? She didn't pay attention to the jealous words like saying that if you can't eat grapes, you'll say they're green, but when she turned around to leave, she heard Helen say, "A lowly girl without temperament is still a lowly girl. Now that she's on a high branch, she only knows how to enjoy life." I heard that she went to Shanghai to participate in that event a few days ago. Ah, the Beaumont granddaughter is as lowly as a high-class prostitute, so pitiful. The luxury exhibition showcases products such as airplanes, yachts, luxury homes, etc. During the exhibition, the organizers hold many parties and entertainment activities. In 2013, this exhibition caused a stir in China because of the information about holding a group rape party with the participation of many singers, actors, models, and tycoons. Others also let out a snort of contempt. She squinted her eyes and walked out from behind the row of ornamental plants, smiling bitterly. "So, if you dare to say such despicable words again, I will use a lot of money to invite those high-class prostitutes to come and sleep with your current or future boyfriends, one by one." Her tone was gentle and soft, but it was as vicious as a dose of snake venom. The innocent and naive students did not expect her to suddenly appear. They were all startled. and hearing her say such harsh words in a voice that was as light as the wind, their faces instantly turned red. She stood under the ivory-white light on the balcony, wearing a gentle blue long dress. Her skin was fair and smooth, surprisingly elegant and ethereal. Especially her lightly made-up face, in the dim night, it was unimaginably beautiful. But her eyes were even more sinister than the darkness. All the girls fell silent, including Helen. No one wanted their current or future boyfriend to be seduced by someone else. Her gaze turned cold, gently stopping on Helen. My party has just begun, but yours has already ended. Everyone was in a daze, not understanding what she meant, until the Black Maria in her hand was lifted high above Helen's head. The black liquid flowed from the top of her head down to her hair, cheeks, and white dress, in the blink of an eye, all stained with dirty black. The girls screamed in low voices. She gently and leisurely turned around and left, passing through the white silk curtain to the other side of the balcony. Only then did she discover that there was a young man sitting on a rattan chair on that side. When she walked over, the young man who had been playing with the tablet in his hand only coldly looked up at her, his deep black eyes devoid of any emotion. Although it was just a glance without any emotion, she couldn't help but worry. He must have known all about the conversation and the glass of wine just now. Although she didn't care what others thought, her intuition told her that the man in front of her was not simple.